So welcome back to the Sawmill, friends. It's a pretty exciting day here at the farm. We got a special delivery that should be here any minute now. You guys hang in there. In case anybody's wondering, the snow is sticking around. We got about maybe 5 inches about a week ago. And I tell you what, guys, it is taking its time heading out of here. It got to be about 46 degrees today. I thought it might melt, but most of it's still here. We've not had a snow like this in a long time. We are definitely not used to it. Are we, Mama Cat? For those of you that are new to the channel, this is Mama Cat, the hatefulest cat on YouTube. Hello, Mama. What do you think about the snow? You ain't gonna talk to me, are you? Look at you walking away. That's why she's so hateful, guys. She follows me around like a dog, but when I try to get her on camera, she turns her head. So somebody asked in the last video how old Mama Cat is. I think she's 8, but I could be wrong about that. But it seems like about 2016 is when we found her. My wife found her. She was actually on her way to work, 5:30 in the morning, and there was a cat in the middle of the road with 2 kittens, and it was Mama Cat with her 2 babies. And they were just sitting there right in the middle of the road. So the wife picked them up, brought them home. And the kittens, one of them got gone when we moved here. I'm not sure what happened to that one. Coyotes probably got her. But the other one we found a home for before we moved over here. All right, guys, it looks like it's here. There's a Chevy Duramax, it looks like, pulling a 5th wheel. Looks like a flatbed. And on the back of that flatbed is our new machine. Let's go take a look. All right, guys, it's the next day. As soon as I brought that up to the house yesterday, it started raining. And it feels like it's trying to rain right now, actually. We don't need any rain. We got enough snow on the ground as it is. It's a muddy mess up here. Hopefully it'll hold off for about an hour so I can show you guys the new machine. Let's take a look. All right, guys, so in my opinion, if you own a lot of acreage, and I don't know, maybe 2 to 5 acres or something like that, I own a total of 8 acres between this property and the one we just bought last month right across the road from us. So if you have a decent amount of land to take care of and develop, and what I mean by that, friends, is the land that we live on and the land across the road that we just bought has not been farmed or properly taken care of, in my opinion, in maybe 20 to 30 years, maybe even longer than that. The fence lines have been neglected. The culverts on the creek on both sides. I have a creek on my entire property down here at the bottom of the hill. And the new property also has a creek that runs the full length of it. And all the culverts, which are the drain pipes that you drive over to access certain areas, if you're not familiar with that, have pretty much collapsed on most of them. They all need to be rebuilt. So, having said all that, if you have land to take care of and to reestablish as farmland and to be a good steward of the land, nowadays, machines like this make life a whole lot easier and it make the jobs easier to do. Every time in the past I have rented a machine, and I've rented many excavators before, I was always under the gun. You know, you had it for maybe 1 or 2 days, or in my case, I would rent it on a Saturday, so I'd get an extra day out of it and take it back on Monday. But after you took it back, you always thought to yourself, man, I could have done one more thing with that. I could have done one more project or help a neighbor out, do something they needed done. And you can't never get it all done in that amount of time. And that's why when it came to needing a machine like this, I didn't even think about renting one, because I started thinking about the culverts that need replaced, all the fencing, the stumps, the French drains around the chicken house. I didn't even blink. I thought, you know, all these projects need done, and they need done now, and I don't want to rent a machine and have to rent it for maybe a month and pay out, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 or whatever it would cost for a month rental. I'm sure it wouldn't be cheap. I'll be a lot better off by ordering one. And when it comes to what brand I was going to get, I'm pretty fond of Cotto based on my experience I've had with my compact track loader, Mr. Cotto, so I didn't have to look pretty far when I started looking at these machines. I was going to get a Cotto, no doubt about it. All right, guys, right here's the machine. This is made by Cotto, as I was saying. This is the HD 35 mini excavator. A really nice machine. They have a lot of different models of excavators. I mean, they have some that are just giant machines, you know, 20 tons, you know, big machines. I didn't need nothing like that, but I wanted a good size mini excavator. I didn't want nothing really small. And I think this will be the perfect size for all the jobs to do here at the farm. So I have rented these in the past, and I ran one a few years ago, but I've never owned one. And this machine, friends, is pretty nice. Check this out. So right here is the side access panel. Got all your hydraulic lines, your battery. Over here's the radiator, your air cleaner right there, hydraulic tank. It's got a little sight glass right there at the bottom so you can see your level to make sure you're full on your hydraulic fluid. Over here on the other side, your hydraulic filter. You got the overflow from the radiator. Just everything is just compact and easy to get to and work on. If you need a new battery, right there it is. Need to change the filter, it's right there. Everything's really accessible, and it does have a back compartment as well. This is just the side. So in the back, we have the engine compartment right here. Open that up. And it's more of the same, guys. Everything's really accessible. Got your oil filter at the bottom, got your dipstick, your fill for the oil, your water separator for the diesel, and the fuel filter. Everything's right here where you can get to it, guys. That's really nice. And this right here, guys, is a Yanmar engine, 23 horsepower, and it does not have regen on it because of the size of the engine. That's a plus right there, because I'm not a fan of regen. And if I can get under the horsepower to get away from it, that's always a good day right there. Real briefly on the undercarriage, pretty obvious, this is a track machine. You got your drive motor right there and the idler in the front. And I'm pretty sure these are adjustable with grease, just like the skid steer is. I need to read the manual about that, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. I can see a grease fitting right there. So that's what you want, guys. I love tracks on machines. You can't beat them. And also around the front, we got a 4-foot dozer blade. This is a 2-way hydraulic blade on the front of the machine. That's really nice to have. You got your boom right here. And there's a lot going on at this boom, guys, especially the hydraulics. Let me take you in and show you. This is something that I ordered especially with this machine. It didn't come this way, but you can order it this way, of course. This is a diverter valve. And what that means is it diverts hydraulic fluid in different directions. Right now, it's diverting the hydraulic fluid down here to the tilt bucket. We'll talk about the bucket here in just a minute. If you're not going to use the tilt bucket and you have a regular bucket on this machine, you turn this diverter valve and send the hydraulic fluid to the top right here, and that goes to the thumb on this machine. We'll talk about that here in a minute also. So this is an aftermarket feature that I did have Kato install for me. That way we could run different attachments. I can run a thumb on this machine, which it has. I got the tilt bucket. You know, your possibilities are endless when it comes to attachments when you have a setup like this, because you have multiple ways of running hydraulic fluid to your attachment. I hope I said that right. So really nice to have that diverter valve, and there's one on both sides, the same exact setup, one on both sides. And another feature here that's installed, and this is just on one side of the machine, is this right here. That's a case drain. So let's say I want to run a flail mower or some kind of small rotary cutter on this machine. You need a case drain to dump the hydraulic fluid back to the tank, and it keeps everything from heating up. So that's important right there if you want to run those types of attachments. This does not come standard either, but Kato can install this as an accessory, or an aftermarket accessory, I guess you would call it, to your machine. And that's really good to have. I'm not sure what kind of mower I'm going to get, but I'm leaning toward getting a small flail mower. And when I do that, I'll need this and 2 hydraulic connections for that attachment. All right, guys, so coming down here, we got the thumb. Right now, we do not have the hydraulics running to the thumb. On this machine, you can have hydraulics running to one attachment, either your thumb or your tilt bucket. You can't run it to both of them. So right now we're running it to the tilt bucket. When I put a regular size bucket on this machine, I'll enable this thumb, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's a really good size thumb right there. And I'm not sure if these come standard or not on your excavators as far as the thumb goes. I'll have to ask Kato about that. I can't remember when I looked at the order sheet whether or not this was standard or not. But if you're getting a mini excavator, I would get a thumb installed on it and have it ready to go, because it makes it so much more versatile. So right here is the tilt bucket, and here in a minute we'll start this thing up and I'll show you guys what this thing can do. You can order this with your machine. Kato will put this on and install it for you. And I think it's worth having, especially if we're going to be doing a lot of culvert work, which is what I'm going to be doing here in a few weeks as soon as it dries up. That's going to be really nice to have. And here in just a minute, when we turn this thing on and fire it up, I'll show you guys how this bucket works. It's pretty interesting the way this thing works. It's got a hydraulic cylinder, which enables it to tilt in different directions. Really handy to have. That's something, in addition to a thumb, I would buy with an excavator if you can put it in your budget. I think a thumb is number 1, and number 2 would be a tilt bucket. And one more thing here, guys, I about forgot about this. I also ordered this machine with a quick coupler, which means when you want to change your buckets on the front of this excavator, you pull this out, and there's a lever right here that comes over, as you can see, and that's how you disconnect your bucket from the coupler. That's a lot easier than the old-fashioned way where you had to come up here with a hammer and like a little knockout pin or something to knock the pins out. With this one, it's a whole lot simpler. That's another thing that's aftermarket that you can buy with these Katos. And this is something else, guys, I would really push you to probably investing in. It will make changing out your buckets a whole lot easier. Really nice to have. So here's something to point out as far as the quality of these machines. Check out this little rubber seal right there. So that right there is nice to have, because as you get dirt that comes up into this area, it can get into that fitting right there where your grease is, and you just have a mess and it starts wearing out parts. So they put a little rubber, I don't know if you would call that a bushing or some kind of gasket, I'm not sure. Maybe somebody in the comments who got more experience with these machines will let us know. But that's something I noticed right there. It's a really nice feature to keep dirt and all the stuff you're going to be digging out of the pin that goes through the bucket right there, or the quick coupler rather. If I'm getting this terminology right, look over me. Like I said, guys, this is my first ever mini excavator. We'll both learn as I get more used to this machine. Check out this guard that's going over this hydraulic cylinder. That's really nice to have. And that right there tells you guys they're building these machines to last, because they don't want you to have any problems with them. So they're putting these guards in here. So if you do make a mistake, the cylinder's protected. Then right there above the guard, we got a work light mounted to the top. I'll have to look in the book, but I think the digging depth on this machine is 10 foot and 9 inches. If I'm wrong about that, I'll put it on the screen, but I think I'm right. All right, guys, let's warm it up and I'll show you guys that tilt bucket and how it works. Got a lot of room in this operator station right here. All right, guys, so as far as the controls go, got these two levers right here that control your travel. And you can use the foot pedals right there, but I'm nowhere near that yet. I've been using these handles so far. I don't want to mess with that just yet. Got your joysticks on both sides, the right and the left. And this is the safety bar right here. So when you put that down, that pretty much engages all these controls. When it's pulled up, nothing works. It's kind of like a parking brake. But over here on the side, you have your display with all your engine information and a few buttons down here for the detent, operation mode, engine idle, and your lights. And a cup holder. I didn't even notice that. We got a cup holder right there. And that lever right there, guys, with the red handle does something pretty unique to this machine. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. All right, guys, let's raise the bucket up. And this is why this bucket, in my opinion, is pretty special. Watch what it can do. Check that out. I guess that's why they call that a tilt bucket. Really nice to have right there. And as far as excavators go, this one basically does what most of them do. It digs and it will rotate here, and it has zero tail swing, which means, and I could be wrong about this, when you swing the boom around, there's nothing on the back end that sticks out to hit anything. I think that's what that means, but I'm not sure. Nice and smooth. Controls are really nice. They're really responsive. No jerking going on. Just really nice, guys. A really nice machine. Now, in addition to the tilt bucket, I also got a 12-inch bucket and a 24-inch bucket for this machine. And a good little safety feature on this machine, friends, if you get in a bad way, there's an emergency stop right there. If you remember, just a few minutes ago, I was pointing out this lever with the red handle. And that right there, friends, does something that's really unique that you won't find on a whole lot of machines out there. And what that will do is, it will move your tracks. So right now, these tracks are as wide as they can go. When you press that lever down, it brings these tracks in, I think, I could be wrong, 10 inches on each side. If I'm wrong, I'll put it right here, but I think it's about 10 inches on each side. And another important feature I didn't talk about on this machine is how much does it weigh. It has an operating capacity of right at 8,000 pounds. So it's about a 4-ton machine when you look at it that way. And I think that's the perfect size for somebody with some small acreage like myself. We have 8 acres to get a lot of work done and still have a good capacity as far as your lifting goes with your loader on the front, or the boom rather. I'm going to use this to load firewood logs on the log splitter. We may sort logs with this when they come in. We're just going to have to test it out on different scenarios and see where it can be used best out here when I'm not doing any digging with it, because we are going to do a lot of digging with this, but I'm going to do a lot of land clearing as well. Now at the new property, I need to dig up about 50 pear trees, and I'll get a good workout with this machine by doing that. This machine will make things so much easier around here this spring when we start building fences, bringing in our livestock, the culverts, etc., etc. I have a giant list of jobs for this machine. It will be a very busy year for Mr. Cotto. Oh, that's another thing. This isn't Mr. Cotto. Mr. Cotto's a track loader. So the track loader, I named Mr. Cotto. I mean, heck, I even have a shirt named after him. So this machine will need a name. I'm thinking maybe Miss Cotto, but I'll leave it up to you guys. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And hopefully this snow will be gone here the next few days and we can get back to work. There's a lot to do around here, guys. It's going to be an extremely busy year here on this YouTube channel. Probably the busiest year and the most videos I've ever done, without a doubt. I'm going to document on this channel every project that we're going to do with this mini excavator and all my other machines with that. So, having said that, let's go in and eat some supper. You guys have a good night.